Fall is definitely here. It's my favorite time of the year in general, but especially when it comes to my wardrobe. We're talking about a handful of my favorite pieces right now. I've got some new pickups and some old favorites, so let's just get into it. First up, we have the Boca flannel from DEVIUM in Lowrider Yellow. I've heard really great things about DEVIUM over the years, and I'm excited to finally have a piece to check out. This is a 7-ounce 100% cotton flannel. It's double brushed, so you have a little bit of softness, but it still feels really nice and sturdy. And best of all with DEVIUM, this is made in the United States with materials sourced in the United States as well. They seem to just have a really big focus on simple, well-made garments, and I absolutely love it. Stitching and construction looks really great throughout. It's double needle stitched. You have these really great custom cat eye buttons. 7 ounces puts it pretty solidly in the midweight flannel category, which is great for me. I'm a sucker for really heavyweight flannels, but sometimes I can get a little bit difficult to layer. This is something that's a little bit lighter, so you can wear it on a warmer day, or you can layer it underneath a jacket and not sweat to death. I really like the cut of the Boca flannel. I'm usually in between a medium and a large on most stuff. I got a large here. It's not overly slim and it's not overly big or boxy or baggy. I'm excited and definitely eager to check out more from them down the road, especially with their focus on made in America stuff. Got another shirt up next. This is the Brace Loose Weave Stripe from Hiroshi KATO. I don't know if you've all noticed over the past couple of years, my wardrobe has gotten increasingly 1970s vibe, and I can't get enough of it. You might also remember, I think it was in my spring or summer wardrobe apparel update video, I had a green version of this. I absolutely loved that shirt. It became an instant favorite for me. I saw that they had a few other colors on their site and just had to pick up a second one. Very heavyweight fabric here. It's 11 ounces, 100% cotton, and you have this really great sort of loose knit herringbone weave. That combined with the vertical stripes, it just makes for such an interesting design and shirt. You're bordering on, lightweight jacket territory here with a shirt, but I like to wear this open with just a t-shirt underneath. I think it's great. You can still layer it. You have triple stitching on the shoulders, on the back, on the side seams. You even have a really nice chain runoff here at the end, which is kind of a nod to, older vintage shirts and how they used to be constructed. The only other shirt I have with this is the Ironheart Ultra Heavy Flannel. These are both two just top tier heavyweight flannel options out right now. You have double chest pockets with bar tacking on the back side. You even have a nice little spot in here to put a pen. Cat eye buttons here too that they're using. This one is also made in the USA, which is awesome to see. This is just such a standout compared to so many other options in this space because they're a little bit more fashion forward, or at least not, like workwear inspired fashion, but they still have all of that really great construction that really high quality workwear has. Instant classic since I got my first one earlier this year. This one is called Baja Gray. Can't recommend it enough if you're into this sort of 1970s like retro aesthetic like I am. Got one last flannel. This is new from Flint and Tinder. This is the Cabin Flannel. I saw this and instantly fell in love. Like I said, I'm a sucker for really great textures and sort of looser knits, getting a lot of that interest in the fabrics themselves. You can kind of have a more pared down, simple wardrobe that's still high quality and still kind of a standout from the norm. No exceptions here, and I think this might be the heaviest weight flannel I have ever owned. It is a 14-ounce flannel, 485 GSM. It's a blend of 60% cotton and 40% polyester. It's super soft and cozy. This thing is going to be great going through the winter. My wife did kind of make fun of me with the natural plaid variant that I got here. She says it looks like a grandma's couch. I think that is a good thing in my eyes, but they do have a few other different sorts of patterns if you're not into this sort of lighter aesthetic, but it was very different from everything I had and I really like it. The fit is definitely a bit boxier and slouchier. I got a medium in this and it definitely fits like most larges from most other brands, including Flint and Tinder stuff as well. You have double chest pockets that are completely open. I think that just adds to the more casual sort of streetwear type of fit that you get with this. A real fun standout here in terms of construction though are the buttons. These are actually Corduroy nut buttons and I believe they are my first shirt or jacket ever with them. Really fun story with the history of Corduroy nut buttons. They came onto into the market around the 1800s, and they were kind of known as vegetable ivory. They come from seeds of the tagua tree, which is a type of palm tree. These actually fall by themselves, so they're not shaking it like you would to harvest almonds or anything like that. So there aren't very many of these that are around, and they're actually hand-picked from the ground. There's these really big seeds from my understanding. Really fun story. So you get a really unique and interesting grain pattern. They are super durable. They were actually really common in high quality clothing in the 1800s, but kind of lost way to plastic manufacturing once that came onto the market. Really cool to see the original, vegetable ivory type of buttons here. I think it adds to this sort of casual, slouchy, comfy aesthetic, and is going to be perfect as the weather gets colder. Moving in some pants, these are the KATO Pen Slim 17.5 ounce Mammoth Selvedge denim. This is their plain raw indigo, but it is a 4-way stretch Selvedge denim. So not a lot of companies offering that. It's 96% cotton, 4% polyurethane to add in that stretch. It's not an overly stretchy material, which I really like, because sometimes when stuff has too much stretch, it just kind of bags out over time. I haven't really had the issue with that at all with these. Most of the denim lineup from Hiroshi KATO is going to be a little bit of a lower rise and a little bit of a snugger fit, even some of their bigger ones. I actually sized up with these, so this is the Pen Slim. They use Japanese selvage, but they're sewn in the USA. You have a really nice red classic selvage ID tag on here. It's a pretty straightforward raw indigo type of look. They have a little bit of a slubby texture. This heavier weight Mammoth denim is definitely stiff. Getting them back out after getting used to my 14-ounce denim, it's been quite the transition back into these. But the nice thing with the heavier weight denim, aside from being a little bit warmer for the cooler weather, you're going to get some really great high contrast fades here. I actually had some plans as well to check out the 888 fit from Ironheart. I've been really wanting some higher waisted selvage denim. They were unfortunately out of stock though, so maybe that'll be for a future video down the road. We'll see. But in the meantime, these have been really great and a nice heavier weight complement to my 14-ounce pair in the old blue raw that I talked about before. Just really great all around. Can't go wrong with corduroy for the season. These are the Flint and Tinder straight fit cords. I actually got these a couple of years ago, but they are consistently in the rotation for me when the weather gets cooler. They're super comfortable. They're modeled after the Flint and Tinder 365 pants, which I think fit and feel really great. They're 98% cotton, 2% spandex, so you just get a little bit of stretch here. They're a pretty lightweight cord too, so you're not going to overheat if you want to wear these in more mild weather as opposed to like full on winter, but just super comfy. I love the look. The straight fit is nice. They're not overly baggy, but they're definitely not super slim either. So they work really great with boots and bigger shoes and things like that. You have YKK zips, a really nice custom Flint and Tinder button. Price is pretty reasonable as well. I think they're $98. All in all, can't recommend them enough. And you definitely should have some cords in your wardrobe for this season. Want to touch on my belts really quick. I have 2 belts I've been using for the entire year and love the setup. First up is this Dune Chrome XL belt from Grant Stone. I picked this up when I got my diesel boots early in the year or late last year. I can't remember exactly. But this is just such an incredible and simple belt. Essentially it's just one piece of leather here. This really great Dune, natural Chrome XL look, which I think is neutral and works with most everything. Quality is excellent, looks excellent. I had been wanting a really high quality leather belt for some time, and definitely found it here. I'll probably be picking up 1 or 2 other colors down the road, but this one has been perfect so far. And outside of this is my longtime favorite arcade belts. You've all heard me rave about those for years and years. They're really good for travel because they don't have any metal in them, so you can go through airport security without any trouble. They're always doing fun releases though. They just recently launched the Aaron Draplin collab. So Draplin Design Company and Arcade worked together and built out some belts here. Just really fun designs. I am a huge fan of Aaron Draplin, have been for years. He's actually from Detroit as well, like me, and lives out in the Pacific Northwest, I believe, now too. Really great style. I just want to bring some attention to the recent collab release and just having a really nice like stretch belt like this. If you have a more casual, Pacific Northwest wardrobe like me, they are really great. But while we're on the topic of accessories, I want to give a huge thank you to VAER for sponsoring this week's video. This is the VAER R1 Oceanracer Chronograph Panda. It's a new pickup for me. It's inspired by the old, 1960s and 70s racing watches. Such an iconic look. I've had my eye on this one since it was released, and definitely one of the most eye-catching watches in the entire collection now. Going over some of the basics, it's a 38mm case diameter with a 46mm lug-to-lug. Really perfect for folks like me with smaller wrists. Mine are 6.75 inches. There are very few brands out there taking care of us, and I love to see it. They do have a 42mm version available as well, though. It uses Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz movement with a 40-month battery life, so you have quartz timekeeping, but a true mechanical stopwatch for the chronograph function. You have a double dome sapphire crystal with an AR coating, a stainless steel case, a 12-hour rotating bezel. There's also a locking screw-down crown with a true 100 meters of water resistance, and that's actually backed by VAER's 2-year waterproof guarantee to the actual rating. Very few watch companies will do that these days. I just instantly fell in love with this watch face though when I saw it. I love the retro look with the Panda. You have the black and the cream and the red and blue accents. It just looks so cool and so unique. You have lume on the hour markers as well as on the hour and minute hand. It's a little subtle in how it's used, but super strong when it's lit up. Best of all for me though, it is assembled in the USA, which is really cool to see. I have the black rally strap on here. I think it adds that sort of vintage racing type of look. All of VAER's straps though are 20mm and interchangeable with each other, which is great. So go check it out. Check out their whole lineup. Click the link below. Huge thanks again to VAER for sponsoring this week's video. Next up, we've got a classic. This is the Filson Prospector hoodie. I know Filson doesn't get a ton of love these days. They have some issues with their changes. I totally get that. That's a separate conversation for a separate video. But I still have a few pieces of theirs that I think are great and definitely worth highlighting. The Prospector hoodie is definitely one of them. It is a really heavyweight 13-ounce fleece, 75% cotton, 25% poly, so it's a blend. You have a little bit of a softer brush on the interior with a more fleecy type of texture, but on the outside you have this smoother, more burly type of texture. So it makes it really great to be comfy and cozy, but you can still, take this outside, process firewood, get work done, and not really worry about snagging it or beating it up. It's held up really well for me. I've had this for like 3 years now. It's just my go-to when I want a big, baggy type of hoodie to put on. You have really thick, nice ribbed hems on the bottom as well as the sleeves. I have a medium here and it fits quite large. I'm usually medium or large in most brands. I'm usually a small or a medium in Filson. My one complaint here though is the sleeve length. The sleeves are a little bit too short for my preference, but I have very long arms and a very short torso. So it's kind of a weird combination compared to most people. I'm all legs and arms and limbs. So if you have super long arms, just be noted of that. They will be a little short, but that still doesn't stop me from wearing this pretty regularly. I really love it. The jacket obsession continues. I've got a new release from Flint and Tinder here. This is the Mason jacket. This is kind of their take on the classic work jacket. When I first saw it, it kind of reminds me of a hybrid between a Carhartt Detroit jacket and maybe like the wax canvas Rogue Territory jacket. I've been pretty happy with it overall. I do think the sizing is a little funky and I wanted to start with that. I'm usually a medium in all of the Flint and Tinder jackets. According to their size chart, a medium should be great. I do think I'm kind of awkwardly in between a medium and a large here. Maybe it's just the style of jacket that should be a little bit bigger and bulkier, but you might want to size up if you're in between or not sure. The exterior fabric here is a blend. It's 74% cotton, 25% nylon, and 1% lycra. Has this really great texture, definitely feels really burly, very canvasy type of look and feel. On the interior, you have this diamond quilted lining. It's a recycled polyester. I really like that they went this way and had a smoother interior. It makes sliding it on and off much easier if you're wearing long sleeves or any other kind of layers. Sometimes that can be really difficult. Sometimes you just see it in the sleeves. I love that it's the entire interior here. I think it makes a huge difference. You have an 80-gram polyester fill insulation here. I would definitely describe this as a lighter jacket still, fall or winter if you're in a more mild climate like myself. Some of the other details are really nice though. I love the corduroy collar on here. I think it adds so much to that sort of classic look. You have 2 hand pockets as well as a zip chest pocket. On the interior, you do have a button snap chest pocket as well, which is a nice touch. But moving on to the back side is one of my favorite things. You have these really nice back pleats that really help a lot with mobility. Makes it much more comfortable. Like I said at the start, the sizing was a little funky for me for this one, but because of this back pleat. I think it still feels and fits comfortably from just a standard fit perspective, but I think it just looks a little small on me. I don't know if that makes sense. Functionally, I think the size is fine. You know, looks wise, I think I could have sized up for sure. All in all though, I think this is a really great pick and alternative to their famous classic trucker jacket. That's still heavily in the rotation for me, but I've talked about it so many times, I figured I would just leave it out of this video. But if you want something with a zipper instead of the buttons, or if you just want more of a work-focused jacket or something, you know, check this one out, a great alternative. Got a couple of boots to talk about next. These are the Maine mock toe boots from Origin. As you all know, if you watched the video earlier in the year, I did a big boot roundup. I got super obsessive into learning about the construction materials, all that. Got a couple of new pairs since that video came out that I can't wait to talk about, this being one of them. These are a pretty new release from Origin, I believe, and my first item from them ever, and I have to say I am really impressed. These boots are made in the United States with materials entirely sourced in the United States, and they come out to $329. With that price point and being made in America, I think these are a strong contender or alternative to the Red Wing, wedge sole mock toes similar to this. Getting in some basics, it's a mock toe obviously, but you have a full Goodyear welt for the construction, so super easy to resole. Definitely important if you're going to go with a wedge sole because these are a little bit softer, so they're going to wear out a little bit quicker than some other boot soles. The leather that they're using is sourced from Seidel Tannery, I believe in Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't write it down in my notes, but overall it looks really good. This is the whiskey color. I believe that they have a black one as well. There's a few little scuffs and marks around here. It was partially when I received them and partially just from wearing them over the past several weeks. You have a full cork midsole layer, which again was really surprising at this price point. You have a fiberglass shank in there, so not steel, but fiberglass. And then you have this super comfy wedge sole. I don't actually have any other wedge sole boots like this. I have some like sneaker type of boots that are similar, but not like the proper classic wedge sole design here. These were pretty instantly comfortable when I got them. I think that's mainly because of the softer wedge sole, but they also use a foam insole on the interior as well. So just really quick and easy to break in. They kind of go off of more sneaker sizing than boot sizing. I'm usually more of a 12 in boots and a 13 in sneakers. I got 13s here. They are a little bit big, but definitely more right than wrong. 12.5 would be perfect, but I don't usually get blessed with half sizes with my gigantic feet. The interior isn't leather lined. It's lined with a material called Drytex. You have a gusseted tongue as well. It's going to help keep some debris out, which is nice. On the heel and the toe, they actually have a thermoplastic insert. So it's not a proper like hard toe boot, but you do have a little bit of reinforcement there that's going to add to the structure. My only knock, which is a total personal preference thing, is the Origin logo burned into the side. I'm not really a huge fan of logos burned into the leather on my boots. I'd prefer if that wasn't there. Otherwise though, I really wasn't sure what to expect with these, and I ended up being extremely impressed. I think what they have in here construction wise at the cost that they are, and considering that they're made in America, is a pretty big feat in my eyes. I also want to point out they sent these out as a sample to me. I saw the made in America claims and I was like, surely the interior lining isn't made in America, or whatever this plastic is in the heel and toe. Surely those components aren't made in America. They backed up their claims 1,000% for each of the individual materials and where they were sourced within the United States. So I was really happy to see that. The boots are super comfortable. I think the price point is extremely reasonable for what you're getting. Definitely check them out if you want to see, another alternative in the mock toe space. Next up, we have the Dowler boots from Beckett Simonon. Very different style and feel compared to the Origin mock toes. These are more of a classic service boot style with a cap toe. Beckett Simonon has kind of an interesting business model as well. So they're direct to consumer and made to order. And that is a big way they're able to save on manufacturing costs, not having to store or worry about surpluses from manufacturing runs, anything like that. So they do take a bit of time if you do want to order them, but in turn, you're getting a bit of a discount or a little bit of a higher quality boot for the price point. The Dowler boots come in at $259. And for that price point, I don't think it's some sort of crazy steal compared to other boots I've tried on the market, but you're definitely getting your money's worth and then some. These use a pull-up leather. This color here is called Merlot. Really big fan of pull-up leather. It usually leads to a little bit bigger and better patina over time. The leather is sourced from Mastrodo Tannery in northern Italy. They've been around since 1958. These are a Blake stitch boot as well, so not a Goodyear welt that's typically most common, but Blake stitching is definitely not a problem if you're worried about quality. So many people think it's Goodyear welt or nothing. Blake stitching is still able to be resold, and in turn you get something that breaks in a little bit quicker typically. Outside of the pull-up leather on the exterior, you have a fully lined Vachetta leather interior, which feels great. Really nice level of softness, and typically the interior leather lining leads to just an overall higher quality boot. On the bottom you have this more plain rubber sole. It's kind of in between a leather insole and a luggy sole like Dr. Soles or something like that. I found it to be plenty grippy, day to day walking around the city. Now these aren't really boots I'd probably take out, doing construction or anything like that. Above that though, you have a really nice leather heel stack. Inside is a steel shank. Construction overall seems really solid, especially considering the price point. One of the other things I saw on the Beckett Simonon website that I appreciated, they have a really big emphasis on taking care of the people that are making the boots. Fair wages, proper hours and time, vacation, stuff like that. It was really great to see. I also really loved, even though the wait was a little bit longer to get my boots, they send you email updates with details about how they're making them and who is actually making them. Really cool to see. I always love seeing companies take care of their workers. It's nice to know that my money is going to, fair wages and taking care of these people. And especially with this business model, if they're able to save a little bit of cash and put a little bit more into taking care of the people that actually make them, in the workshop. It's great to see. Almost forgot to mention sizing. I'm a 12 1/4 Brannock. I got a size 12 here and they fit great. So definitely, pretty standard, typical boot size, maybe a little bit more. It varies so much brand to brand, but 12 1/4 Brannock, size 12 for me is a great choice. But on that note, that is the end of the video. I really hope you all enjoyed this one. These are sometimes tough to put together because of the turnover rate of specific items on companies' websites. I had a couple of things I was going to talk about that are now out of stock and unavailable, and I wanted to get a couple of things to talk about, but they were out of stock when I went to order them. So it's this push and pull back and forth trying to find stuff that I like, that I have, that you all have the option of buying. Because if I just talked about a bunch of stuff that was discontinued 5 years ago, what fun would that be? But really hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to hear what you're wearing this fall. Also would love to hear about other types of apparel videos you want to see. I did see a ton of comments, people interested in the sock video. And that is taking way longer than I ever could have imagined. It turns out it takes some time to see how socks wear over time, especially when you work at home and aren't out all that often. But that should come eventually. But let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.